Welcome back. More than 100,000 AI agents are on duty at the Pentagon now through the department's GenAI.mil platform. Breaking Defense reports some of the most popular uses for the agents include drafting after-action reports and analysis of data and images. Matthew Cornelius is Managing Director for Federal Industry at Workday Government. He's a former cybersecurity official at the Office of Management and Budget and GSA. Matthew, welcome. It's great to see you again. You heard Brian Epley talking about using AI and figuring out how it's going to work. We'll learn more later in the program from Andrea Brandon at Interior. What's the landscape look like now, and how is it impacting the way that people actually do the work on a day-to-day basis in your view?
Thanks, Francis. It's great to be back. It's not just how the people are doing work, but it's how the actual agents are doing work. It's funny that you brought up that piece about the after-action reports. When I was at GSA, I had an army of contractors that would follow me around from meeting to meeting to do PowerPoint slides and to write notes. And now you've got autonomous agents that are doing that. And as you see the explosion both in the Department of Defense, as you mentioned, and then with the growth in the AI use cases sort of government-wide, what you're seeing is it's not just about AI expansion and AI adoption, but you've got to treat those agents the same way you would treat your employees, right? They need access to the right data. They need the right cybersecurity controls. They need to know policies. They need training, right? So the way we think about it at Workday is it shouldn't really matter to you as a leader if it's a human being that's doing the work or an AI agent that's doing the work, so long as they've got the right governance, the right control, the right performance, the right data, and the right focus on mission to actually achieve whatever outcome you want that person or that agent to do.
It strikes me that there might be as much a nomenclature issue here as a technology or a governance issue. Just the fact that I have to make sure that Matthew's agent has the same access to information and so on as Matthew does. Am I on the right track there?
I think that's true, and you also have to make sure they don't have access to the data or the information that they don't need access to, right? And so one of the more interesting signs that we're seeing is when you think about talent, when you think about the workforce, right? If you look back 2 or 3 years, if you thought about hiring AI talent into government, you were writing position descriptions or job classifications, and you were trying to find 5 or 10 or 15 people who were going to be your AI people sitting in that agency. And now every job description you're seeing coming out, every PD that's getting classified, there's all a level of AI competence there. And what that means is that federal leaders all the way at the policy level, from the Office of Personnel Management down to the operational level, like you heard Brian talk about recently, they know that AI skills and AI capabilities are inherent for any employee that's coming in. So deploying the agents and having them do work, that's the easy part. But how are humans still going to be making the right decisions to achieve mission outcomes? How do they understand the models? How do they train them better? It's no different than training a GS7 to take them all the way up to a 15. You've got to take that model and give it good instructions, give it good feedback, prompt it effectively so that it can actually do what you need it to do, because otherwise you're going to get poor performance, and that's no different than poor performance if you have a young employee that's not taking direction or not sure of what they need to do.
Is this the same evolution that we saw in the cybersecurity community? I'm going to guess 12 to 15 years ago, where people thought there was a cyber cohort of people that worked for the agency, and it turned out the evolution was everybody's involved with cybersecurity because everybody is a potential possibility for a threat landscape.
It is similar, and I think it goes back to just something that we've seen across administrations from Trump 1 to Biden and now Trump 2. Skills-based hiring is real, and it's not just skills-based hiring, it's skills-based management of the workforce, right? What we've seen with a lot of our customers, a lot of agencies that we talk to on a day-to-day basis, when they were going through the workforce changes that were happening, especially a lot in early 2025, you've got these new political folks that are coming in saying, well, where are your people? Who's remote working? Who can do this? Like, what are probationary employees? And no one knew. Nobody had that data. They were in spreadsheets all over the place or in all these legacy systems that only 1 or 2 people knew about. So you can't do skills-based management. You can't do merit-based hiring. You can't do performance in the way that this administration's trying to do unless you can actually understand the skills of the workforce. And so just because you're an 1102, there's all different levels of IT specialists. I was one when I was in the government, and I was a drama major in undergrad, right? So anybody can do this stuff. Well, not anybody, but a lot of people can do it. But there's all different flavors. And so what you're seeing, whether it's cyber, whether it's AI, whether it's acquisition, whether it's mission-based work like fighting wildfires or doing drug testing, you have to know what skills you're looking for. You have to be able to assess those skills fairly, because the assessment piece is also really critical. You can't take the old hiring model where you have to put in a 100-page resume and hit every word in a position description to show that you can do it. You got to show that these employees, and there's lots of people that do want to come into public service and do want to work for the government, you got to know that they're competent and capable and willing to perform. And so it's both understanding the skills base that you have, it's finding the gaps that you see and figuring out whether you're going to have that with a human or with AI, and then no matter what the HR action you're taking, you got to make sure that you're getting the right people, the right bots that are getting access to the right information and achieving those mission outcomes.
Matthew, it's always great to have you on the program. Thanks for being here today.
Went too quickly. Thanks, Francis.
You can read more about AI and the workforce on today's show page at fedgovtoday.com. Up next, 3 new contracting experts at the Interior Department aren't people. FedGov Today continues in just a moment.